So, I mean, some of them actually pay for themselves. Like right now, we've got over $900 million of construction going on in downtown St. Louis. And the head of the downtown partnership said about tax credits, which just pay a part of it, we wouldn't have anything going on. So, I mean, I'm kind of surprised why everybody in the governor's office keeps talking about them as if they're so awful. Around here, they're keeping a lot of people in jobs and they're providing a heck of a lot of revenue also for the state.
Yeah, and we don't think they're awful. What we have said has been we want tax credits to be reviewed just like any other spending we do. We shouldn't assume tax credits are more important than higher education funding. And right now, the way it's structured in the state of Missouri, tax credits get their money before anything else. The Constitution actually requires public debt to be the most important thing that we fund, and then education second. With the way tax credits are set up in the state, they're number one, even before paying off our general obligation debt. So our point is not that tax credits are bad. Our point is tax credits ought to be reviewed just like anything else, and we shouldn't assume that they're more important than higher education or K through 12, for example. And so what we have asked and what the governor asked to have happen was to have a review commission to look at the tax credits and make recommendations on which of them were giving us a reasonable return on investment and ought to continue, and which weren't. And for the historic tax credit, what they recommended is the economic return on investment was not there. They looked at all of that and they said it simply didn't have a sufficient return on investment if you just purely looked at the economics. But it has societal benefits because obviously improving the buildings in a downtown urban area is a positive thing. So what they recommended for the historic tax credit is that we cap it at a lower level so it's not using as big of a proportion of our general revenue, which frees up a little bit more money for K through 12 and higher education. So the governor has adopted that recommendation, not to eliminate historic, but to bring it down to a lower level, more in line with our spending in other areas.
But again, you get back to this issue of you're making it sound like it's either or, and it's not. That's not necessarily the case. In fact, when the governor had his press conference last year with all the educators, several editorials around the state jumped on him saying it was all rather hypocritical. I kind of look at it this way. Let's suppose you're a Ford dealer, you sell more cars than you owe Ford. You're going to owe Ford more money, but is that a bad thing? No, because you sold more cars, you made more profit, and you've got the money in the bank. So I mean, it's a good thing. But yet you continually, even when you answer, you make it sound like it's an either-or situation, and that somehow this is taking money away from education. And that's not the case. In fact, you can make a good argument that it actually helps out education.
Yeah, and that's why I mentioned that we looked at the return on investment, which actually looked at the incoming, which is what you're talking about, and the outgoing. And based on that analysis that the Department of Economic Development did, they said the return on investment is not sufficient to cover the cost. So they looked at all that economic activity. It's in the tax credit review commission report. It's online.
You mean the tax credit review commission said that, or the DED said that?
It was based on DED's information, and they referenced that in the report.
Yes, sir.
My name is Terry. Would you take a look 3, 4, 5 years down the road and talk about unfunded mandates on a rather global basis? You're parked right in the middle between the federal government, state, local, various kinds of taxing bodies at the local level, and we citizens are paying somebody taxes. And so when you say we have to cut the budget for higher education, for example, and the higher education institution like community colleges are having demands on their services increase because of the job situation, they still are obligated to provide those services. Those costs get downloaded to the students and their parents,
Yeah,
etc.
absolutely true.
I guess a two-part question. One, you talked a lot about the discretionary part of the budget. You didn't talk about the non-discretionary part, what's in it. And what's on the horizon in this shifting of funding for all government